You agreed to this in the hospital.
Christopher, I was in a coma.
Never trust the Sopranos to tell you anyone's real age. In this universe, 30 is a child, 50 is middle school, and time is just another scam. Few television universes have treated time as carelessly or as deliberately as The Sopranos.
It's good to be in something from the ground floor.
Chronology in David Chase's New Jersey Purgatory moves not forward, but sideways. Decades collapse, memories rewrite themselves, and by the final season, it's unclear whether Christopher Moltisanti is a promising young mobster or a middle-aged burnout who's simply been a kid for a very long time. The timeline, like Tony's moral compass, is hopelessly compromised.
I drove to work with my nephew, Christopher. He's learning the business.
From the pilot onward, Christopher is presented as a jittery upstart, ambitious, petulant, and visibly younger than the jowly veterans surrounding him. Yet, somewhere between his first botched hit and his last overdose, the show quietly revises his birth certificate. According to early scripts, he's meant to be 25 when the series begins, a reasonable age for an apprentice wise guy still figuring out where to hide the bodies.
I love that kid like I love my son. And it kills me just to say it because I got so many hopes tied up in this kid.
Then, without warning or apology, he becomes 30. By season 6, he's pushing 40. Yet, Tony and company still refer to him as just a kid, as though he were running errands in short pants. In the world of The Sopranos, apparently adolescence can last until your liver gives out. The inconsistency is almost artistic.
Whatever happened to Gary Cooper?
If Christopher's age shifts to suit the plot, it's because The Sopranos was never concerned with realism so much as it was with perception. To Tony, every younger man is a kid, a convenient fiction that keeps him from admitting his own slide into middle age. He and his peers, the Silvios and Paulies of the world, are relics of a dying system clinging to youth by lowering the definition of it. If 30 is a kid, then 45 is still virile, 55 is seasoned, and 60 is simply a man who's seen things. The mob's version of ageism operates in reverse. The older they get, the more desperately they call everyone else young.
You agreed to this in the hospital.
Christopher, I was in a coma.
Still, the arithmetic refuses to cooperate. In The Many Saints of Newark, Tony is depicted as a teenager when Christopher is born, meaning he'd have to be roughly 20 years older than his protege. Yet, in the series proper, Tony and Christopher act more like squabbling brothers separated by 8 or 9 years. Silvio, depending on which scene one trusts, is either Tony's slightly older contemporary or a man old enough to have babysat him during the Eisenhower administration.
Louis Brazzi sleeps with the fishes.
By the time the show ends, all chronological logic has been buried in the Pine Barrens. The absurdity reaches its apex when characters reminisce about events that could not have possibly happened. Christopher tells Adriana that his late father used to talk about 1950s Italian crooners, an impressive feat considering the man died when Christopher was still in diapers. But then again, this is a world where facts are pliable, where nostalgia trumps history, and where everyone's memory seems to have been lightly seasoned with cocaine. Continuity errors in The Sopranos feel less like oversights and more like symptoms of a collective delusion.
Used to be a guy got pinched, he took his prison joke no matter what.
The show's defenders argue that such elasticity is thematically appropriate. The series, after all, charts not only the decline of a crime family, but the decay of a culture that no longer knows its own age. The Sopranos isn't just about the aging of mobsters, it's about the aging of the myth itself. These men want to believe they're still the sharp-suited Goodfellas of Scorsese's youth, not the paunchy middle managers of a fading empire. Calling Christopher a kid is less a description than a spell, an incantation against mortality. It's denial, with a side of marinara. Even viewed literally, the timeline's distortions produce unintentional comedy. Tony B., allegedly a peer of Tony Soprano, is played by Steve Buscemi, who exudes the wiry menace of a man who's been 45 since birth. Had the casting gods swapped him with Joe Pantoliano, whose Ralph Cifaretto radiates the perfect blend of charisma and repulsiveness, the ages might almost make sense. Instead, Buscemi's weary face and Ralphie's flamboyant swagger end up on the wrong characters, further muddling an already schizophrenic chronology. Somewhere in that casting shuffle lies another timeline entirely, one where Ralphie lives, Tony B dies early, and everyone's birth year remains consistent. The series' aesthetic of agelessness extends beyond Christopher.
The patient, Soprano, Corrado, male, Caucasian, 72 years old.
Junior Soprano seems to age 3 decades over 6 seasons, going from spry curmudgeon to ancient ruin with alarming efficiency. Paulie Gualtieri, meanwhile, is emotionally fossilized at 24.
I think we can edge up the math into the 5s the next round.
Still a mama's boy playing gangster dress-up, Meadow grows from teenager to adult in plausible time, while AJ appears trapped in perpetual puberty. The show treats the passage of time the same way it treats morality, as something negotiable, inconsistent, and best ignored. What the timeline lacks in coherence, it compensates for in meaning. Christopher's perpetual youth mirrors the arrested development of the entire mob world. These are men who never truly grow up because their lives offer no real milestones. No education, no legitimate career, no progress beyond the next envelope of cash. Emotional maturity is not only unnecessary, it's dangerous. A reflective gangster is a dead one.
Oh, come on!
Big man,
Hence, Christopher's immaturity, his tantrums, his narcissism, his addiction, makes him the perfect heir to Tony's crumbling kingdom. A man eternally too old to be young, and too childish to be an adult. It's fitting, then, that by the end, Tony murders his kid for acting like one. Whether consciously or not, the series equates the denial of aging with moral rot. Everyone in The Sopranos is either pretending to be younger or mourning that they're not. The tragedy is that none of them seem to notice the difference. When the crew calls Christopher just a kid, what they're really saying is that he still believes in something. Ambition, art, redemption, maybe even love. And belief is the first thing they all lost somewhere between Newark and North Caldwell. And so, The Sopranos ends not just as a crime saga, but as a meditation on time itself, how it bends, blurs, and betrays us. The timeline may be fucked up, as fans lovingly insist, but that confusion captures the very essence of the show. Everyone is either too young or too old for their part. Everyone's pretending otherwise, and somewhere in between, the truth gets whacked. Christopher Moltisanti didn't die young. He just refused to age properly. In the mob, that's practically the same thing. Cut to black, but not before you subscribe.